thinking a little bit. I've been thinking just now about transurfing, reality transurfing concepts, and where, from what I've picked up recently, I need to direct my actions for the purpose of maximizing the benefits that I can get from reality transurfing. And as I've mentioned already a few times, although I may not have published some of these thoughts that I've recorded, I'm coming from this standpoint personally as somebody who's not already put together, she's got it going on kind of person. You know, I am working towards it, right? As I enter my crone years. So, you know, it's taken me a while, but I'm getting there. And there's definitely progress. And I've been on a wave of good fortune, you know. It's sobering, though, that I recently edited a section of Vadim's story, his book, and this would be in Forward to the Past, which is book 3, and chapter 5, and I'm thinking basically of the letters from the past where Vadim's students or the people who were following him on his blog before he ever finished the books and got, you know, worldwide recognition. He had like a group of people who followed him and tried his methods and gave him rave results, etc. As he points out at the beginning of that chapter, you need to go and listen to it if you haven't already. It's really fascinating. And he talks about, you know, because people would write in and they'll say, well, you know, everything you're doing, I'm doing what you're saying, but this part of my life didn't work out like it was supposed to, because, you know, and why do, for example, dark periods follow good times? And in this particular instance, the person who wrote in gave wording that said, basically, I was having a wonderful life, but I was afraid it would go away. So, of course, Vadim hits on that when he responds by saying, you get out of life, you know, it's basically you're looking at a mirror and the world is your mirror, is the front of your mirror, and it reflects back to you whatever you're reflecting out to it. So if you're thinking in your mind, I'm going to lose all this is all going to disappear, then the world does what you told it, you expected. It manifests. And I think that makes sense, you know. I mean, it's always like this part of my analytical brain wants to get stuck on the big picture, you know. If it's one way, if this is an absolute, then if whatever you know, how do you reflect a piece of rock or fabric, right? All these substantial things that are there, whether you are looking at them or not. You know they're there because you've seen the bread mold growing from the morning to the evening. Something happened in between when you weren't there observing it, right? So this whole quantum physics concept that none of this exists without all of us perceiving it is hard to grasp. It may be absolutely the case, but it's hard to grasp. Which is why, if I can't grasp an absolute, I'll always have doubts about any concept. Just like the reader who wrote in and said, I thought that if I didn't care about it, it would fix it, but it didn't. What gives, Vadim? And he would respond something like, this isn't exactly how it goes, but I can't recall these precise words. He would say something along the lines of, well, it was important for you to drop importance, so therefore it didn't work. Or I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't say that. I'm being petty because I don't understand. It's like how I deal with not understanding. I lash out. I get petty. Whatever, right? I mean, we all have our the things that we are. We're all experiencing ourselves and the world that we live in. And it's a freaking trip, being alive, being a human being, having all this power. I mean, we have so much power because we're human beings. I mean, compared to the ant or the bird or a fish in the sea, we can do so much, right? I mean, we have the power to create. We have the power to come up with an idea and through steps and actions create. I mean, beavers, they build dams. Do you think they sit around and contemplate how it's going to look before they get started? Or is it all instinct and they just get going and there's no satisfaction in a job well done? I can't believe that. I think beavers are exactly like that. They communicate with each other. They have drama and fascinating lives. They may be short and they may be violent, but I believe that all creatures at one level or another experience the joy of existence. It's just a thought. It's just a belief. Anyhow. So I was listening to this chapter where, again, a woman was talking about how she had everything, great house, great marriage, or a great, a boyfriend that loved her, or a husband that loved her, and her parents were still around, and she had a calm, happy life that she could even say she envied herself. It was just too perfect. Well, fuck. I'm listening to that and I'm thinking, where have you heard that recently? Look in the mirror, sweetheart. It's like, yeah. And then this woman goes on to say in her letter, and then I just feared that it was going to end and I had to get out. No elaboration, right? So somehow she got the idea in her head that it wasn't going to last, and sure enough, it didn't, right? Self-fulfilling prophecy. You get what you reflect. You reflect what's coming out of your soul and out of your mouth and out of your mind and into the world, and everything you do and say and act, everything, your thoughts, everything. That's what you're reflecting. And if your thoughts are, oh shit, this can't last, somehow something's going to go wrong, oh my God, I'm really worried about that, then guess what? Exactly. You bring it to you. And I think we all kind of know that. I mean, just try it out. Go to school or go to work or go do something you would normally do and change how you behave. Not in a way that where you want people to tell that you're changing how you behave, or you're just being an observer, and you're not sleeping awake. You're conscious of your thoughts and your feelings and your reactions and your tendency to find certain things annoying and your tendency to want to judge or criticize or start trying to manipulate or control what people around you are saying, doing, thinking, feeling, moving, acting. You just want to start controlling, especially with family members. That's the first place you'll notice it. Or loved ones, if you've been married for a long time or whatever, had the same girlfriend forever. Just notice the relationship dynamics when you get irritated with each other, and how it was just sort of like you walked into the room and you could just tell from the look on his face that he already had a bone to pick with you, and that just made you stiffen up and tighten up and get defensive, and before you know it, you're doing the very thing that always gets you criticism. And so you or you're starting to fight and have a bad relationship at that moment, and you're not happy with each other because both of you are somehow unhappy with what the other person is doing, right? So if I had instead walked into that room, noticed the grumpy face, and found a way to grotesquely break the cycle, and with humor and sort of acknowledging, oh, I can tell you're really upset with me. What gives, dude? And having fun with it, and being kidding about it, and finding a way to lighten the mood and get the other person to relax, and basically, hey, this is not a big deal, whatever it is, let's fix it, right? And just like that, because you went into it with, hey, this isn't a big deal. It's just one of those little annoyances that occurs to people when we're sleeping awake and we're not willing to let ourselves be ourselves or let the other person be the other person. And that's a bottom line principle, and it's a good one, right? If you are focused on how other people are acting, behaving, thinking, moving, smelling, whatever, if you suddenly, your mind is like, I really don't like the way that person is doing this, that, or the other thing. I wish they would stop doing that. Why don't they stop doing that? Oh, that's really annoying me. If that's where your head's at, if that's where your thoughts are at, then you're sleeping awake. You're not conscious. You're not aware. You forgot that it's okay for that person to do whatever it is that they're doing that's annoying you, obviously, within reason. There are exceptions to this and every other rule, but just general behavior around people, when you start to find them displeasing you, check yourself. Is it just because you're concentrating on how they're displeasing you? Guess what? They may not even realize that you're looking at them, but that thought energy of yours that's sending out this negative thought, you're kind of really annoying me right now with what you're doing, or you're not as handsome as you were back 10 years ago, and when you have that look on your face, it's particularly unhandsome, and why did I ever marry you anyways kind of thoughts going on in your brain. You don't think that person can feel it? Because they can. And then you're back in the vicious cycle like we talked about before. They get defensive, you get defensive, words are spoken, you say things you don't mean, hostilities arise, or worse, you bottle it up and don't say anything at all and just quietly hate each other for hours at a time. WTF, and in that whole time when you're quietly hating the other person, are you sleeping awake some more? Distracting yourself with things that help you forget that you aren't getting along with your partner, as Vadim likes to call anybody you're trying to have a relationship with. Frailing is all about but remembering that every individual is trying to increase their significance. So when you do something to decrease someone's significance, they're going to, one, not like you, and two, fight back. And balancing forces will come into play, and you're creating a problem for yourself that you may or may not particularly need. But if you frailed instead, in other words, you tried to understand or somehow take a moment to connect with what it is that person is looking for, from a soul level, right? See if you may not know what you want out of your soul, but at this moment, try to understand what this person in front of you really wants. And one way or the other, it's according to Vadim, it's going to have something to do with validating personal significance. So if you have a way to do that, and you can raise someone's personal significance, and the way you do that is by trying to at least imagine what it is, ask the universe, here's a nice person in front of me, or here's an interesting person in front of me. Yes, there's something I need them to do for me, but we'll put that aside for a moment, because first I'm going to try to connect with this person in a human way and really open myself up to kind of finding out who they are. And you try to do it in a quick, focused way, right? And you're tuning into them and you're smiling. This is obviously not going to be the case in every scenario. If you don't know if this person is to be trusted or if you're going to be safe around them, then you're not necessarily doing any of these things. I'm talking about just interpersonal relationships with people you want to be with, okay? So when you're tuning in, you feel it. There's like this energy transfer that happens between the two of you. And it's, you see it in their faces. There's a tension in the muscles relaxes. The eyes shine, or sparkle with delight because they're enjoying your company, because you're enjoying their company. They realize that you recognize them as significant, right? And it raises their energy, and everybody's energy goes up to the next level of vibration. And I'm not going to pretend to have a clue how all that works, but there's definitely lower vibration where you're depressed, angry, hostile, negative, sarcastic, bitchy, whiny, moany, crappy, disgusting. I mean, there's like a lot of lower level places where we can hang out mentally and emotionally as well as interpersonally with other people. And there's no doubt about it that when you become aware and conscious, and you're standing taller, your shoulders are back, your posture's improved, your eyes are wider, your oxygen content is going up because you're taking deep breaths, and your muscles are starting to relax because you're actually just giving them a chance to be felt. You're becoming aware of your body, and you realize that you're talking too much and you haven't breathed enough. So then you take a moment and take a breath. Whatever your capacity is. Mine is not as good as it should be. I need to do more walking. I need to get back on the do not keep gaining weight path, because that's an issue for me. Like, it's probably an issue for a few of you. Everybody, has their own health issues, right? But I don't want to get stuck on an illness pendulum talking about my little aches and pains, because that's what that would be. It would get me back there. I'd be focusing on illness, and instead of focusing on a slide of good fortune that I want to live in. So, for example, before I was doing the breathing exercise, and I felt self-conscious because I could barely take a deep breath, because I don't have good lung capacity, because I got a little old and fat and I didn't take care of myself, and now I'm trying to fix that. Okay, just confessing a little bit. So anyhow, I'm working on it, but it's not 100% there. And yet I felt a little guilty, as if, oh, you're just a fraud. You don't have a right to have a YouTube channel to talk about transformation because, well, you can't breathe deeply. What? You see what I'm talking about? That's the kind of mental process that would get a woman like me in the same place as that woman in the book. And I don't want that to happen. So if I don't want it to happen, then I have to stop worrying about it happening, because then I'm thinking about it and I'm creating it in my mind while I think about it, because I'm visualizing how it will happen somehow, just because now that I'm entertaining it, or could be entertaining it, then my mind needs to quickly construct a method for how that's going to happen. And even if I'm not consciously aware of it, in the background, outer intention is going to come in and start changing the world, so that these possibilities become more possible. And the more often I consider such a thing happening and start to worry about it and panic, or in the case of like this one woman, she had to get away. Well, yeah, if you leave your family and take off and disappear, you may lose all the things you just had. That's understandable. Who knows what happened to her, but I think that was Vadim's point. She brought it unto herself. And I would be doing the same thing if it were to happen to me, because I would basically create the scenario. I would think that's going to happen, and then the world would give me what I expected. You know, that simple. So that tells me that I need to go and work on my goals. And I want to go back and reread the sections on slides and goal settings and windows and doors, to really understand that better. Because I want to keep my thoughts on a slide that has meaning, a slide that has my heart's desire playing in it, you know, and it's not the work I have done yet properly. I think I've done it a little bit, but not consciously. Although Vadim would probably say, don't try too hard, like in a transaction. Don't stress about getting it right or doing it perfect. So it's all good. It's all good. And yet I have this sort of nagging feeling that I would benefit from some conscientious, ritualized sort of sit down work where I write out sort of the base concepts of what my goals are and where I want to have slides created, so that I can not forget what my goals are. Right now, this may not be something younger people worry about, but when you get to be my age, it's possible that your memory may not be so hot. And mine is exceptionally shit. So I definitely benefit from recording / writing things down. In fact, I'm thinking of starting another YouTube channel called Record Everything. I forget where I was going. See, already happened. It's embarrassing, but it is what it is. And if I can't accept who I am and not feel guilt or shame for being who I am, if I can, you can hear it in my voice, I'm already walking tall, I'm confident, I'm strutting, then I have to be careful not to strut too much, because bouncing forces will come into play and knock you off your high fucking horse. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean. So it's balance. It's balance. It's all about balance. You know? And I think that that's what I've learned. I mean, it's not like this is new information, but again, reality transurfing is pretty awesome. I'm definitely enjoying reading the books, and I'm going to keep doing that for my own education more than anything. Sorry, guys. I mean, I'm glad if people enjoy it and get to take advantage of it. I'm happy to share, but I'm doing it for me, okay? Because it's just, I like reading it out loud. It helps me absorb the information better than if I just read it sitting down, because I just forget anything I just read anyhow. But if I'd said it, there's like this vocal recollection that's added to the file cabinet, and if I put it on YouTube, I can always go listen to it again. And, you know, who doesn't want to hear the sound of their own voice? I mean, we all hate it at first, and then after a while, you're like, oh, hey, it's not so bad. Hello, you. Hi, me. So funny. Yeah, I was thinking about, do I want comments? You know, it's like so crazy, right? The mental thoughts of a budding YouTube star. She had less than 35 subscribers and over almost 50 videos. But she was still believing that somehow, some way, someday it would all take off, and there she'd be, this internationally acclaimed mystery witch YouTube star into reality transurfing, witchcraft, and other crazy stuff, right? And then the head goes, Fantasyland, and what am I looking for, right? Wow, why did I go there? Because it would be really cool, right? It's a fantasy. It's a heart's desire, right? It's personal significance, right? You know, it doesn't matter that I didn't have a lot of friends in high school because now look at me now, right? It's kind of silly. But I think we all have that sort of feeling. And at the end of the day, meaning if and when such a thing were to occur, would it really be enough? I doubt it, right? You know, you get to 1,000 subscribers, now you want 2,000. And then you get to 4,000, and now you get to 5,000, and now you're making a little money, and you got people telling you to, you know, commercialize your products or find ways to sell stuff, or not that there's anything wrong with that, but your mind goes there, and then the next thing you know, you have critics because the people that listened to you in the beginning when you didn't have commercials and you weren't selling stuff are getting annoyed because now you have commercials and you're selling stuff and they're not used to that. So they criticize you and you don't want to hear it. So you turn off your comments. And it doesn't matter at this point because you're already so popular and you always have this growth that comments don't build your channel. They just give people reasons to not like you because they can read people who don't talk about what's wrong with you. So you don't have the risk of sort of being you know, taken to task for whatever, and it gives you sort of more free reign and you're off to the races, right? That's one way to go. And that's where my mind went, right? Should I cancel all the comments right now? And then I laughed. It's like so ridiculous with less than 35 subscribers. And like maybe a handful of comments, right? And it's so weird how I waste this time and energy thinking about those things. And when I do, I had those types of thoughts. It's all part of that YouTube / slight fame / increased significance fantasy that has continually plagued me my whole life. You know what I mean? It's, you know what I'm saying? It's just always there in the back of your mind, a need for more people to say you're great. Right? And it's personal significance, you know? Didn't get enough of it. Trying to get some. I'm just trying to get some personal significance. That's all I'm trying to get. You know, why are you here? Right? We want to be happier. We want to lead better lives. We want to find whatever it is that's missing. We want to improve or change something, you know? And instead, we're sleeping awake. You know, the majority of us, the majority of people are just not really sure about what they want and how to allow it, how to get it, how to make it happen. we're sleeping awake. We're stuck in the rut. We're caught up in things, or we're focused on things that aren't serving any larger goal, aren't serving any clear visualization of a desired outcome. We're just caught up in the day-to-day. The problems with relationships, co-workers, neighbors, politics. We're caught up in the pendulums of insecurity, or the illness pendulums, where we're focused on our illnesses, or maybe we're doing our best and everything's going great, but there's still this nagging feeling that you hadn't meant to get pregnant at 22, and now you're living wherever you're living, and you have to work 3 jobs just to make ends meet, and you had to drop out of college or whatever. I mean, sometimes life sends you in directions you weren't planning on going, and you feel trapped, or you feel comfortable to the point where it's just not safe for you to think of doing anything else, even though you're not happy, or you're uncertain if you're happy, which I think is common also, because it's not that easy to know what your dream is, what your goal is, what your true desires are, or how to get there. And so we just kind of exist, and we do our best day by day, and we get involved in whatever life track we get involved in. So the trick is, if you want to change something about your life, you need to know what it is you want to become first. And you need to nourish and build those slides, those movies in your head of where you're going to be. And then once you have enough of these in your head, and you are transacting frequently, which means you get yourself relaxed, then you turn the key to increase the energy flows in your body, and then you run through the slide, whatever that is. Let's say it's the Get Healthier slide, and you run through the slide of yourself, being this healthy person, on your walk, smiling and having the sort of energy to do some push-ups or sit-ups in the park, or run just because you feel like it, or you're at the beach, or you're swimming, this sort of fit body, or fitter body, or just a healthier, stronger body that you're envisioning yourself out there doing these things that have not only got you to that healthy, stronger body, but you love doing it. It's your new active outdoor lifestyle, whatever it is in your mind you want to become. Visualize that as you have already become it. And then once you've done that, you have a clear gaze of your life. You're now this person. You live this life. You're healthy, you're fitter, you're stronger, you're just more capable and empowered. And anything you desire, any goal that you have the energy to make it happen, because your intention is pure, and there's health and vibrancy, high vibrancy that comes from increased health, and you love being that person, and you just are that person, and it's a wonderful life. Your life is fantastic. Your life is amazing. You say what you want to say. You don't suffer from guilt. You don't want to make other people feel bad. You're never intentionally reducing other people's significance. It's not about feeling better because you make other people lower. No, you raise everyone up around you because you're in control of your life. You have a sense of destiny. You have a feeling about you're riding the waves of good fortune, and your life is just unfolding before your eyes, and everything you touch is turning to gold, and people love you, everybody likes you, and when they don't, you let it go, because it's not about you, and you drop the importance. That's a habit you use 1,000 times a day. Whenever anything starts to get under your skin and needle you and distract you from the reminder that this is a celebration and everything in this life is wonderful and you are so blessed to be alive and experience it. When you forget that, you drop importance and you forgive yourself and you take another action that will move you in the direction of your slides. You take that next little step, right? I forget what it's called, like the little paths to get you. In any case, it doesn't matter. You are living in this life where in your head, in your mind, you are visualizing it, you are picturing it, you are running the slide, the movie, through your mind. And as you do that, when you picture with a clear gaze what your world will be like, as if you are actually in it and you have traveled through time to be in it, and you are picturing it continuing with a clear gaze before you, as real as where you are right now in this moment in time. You're there. You see it in your mind with a clear gaze, and for just a second, when your thoughts come back to the room you're in, something will seem slightly different, as if the manifestation, the shift in the world has already occurred. This is what Vadim says. And it may be nothing more than just having more perception, being more aware of your world around you, turning yourself sort of inward, as at the same time opening yourself up to everything that's in your immediate vicinity. It's like a whisper, and the winds of intention, the sails are fluttering, and the big bow, the ship that you're on, this life track that you've been on, which may very well be very good and headed more or less in the correct direction. Because of this slide in your mind and the visualization and being in that spot for just a second or two, actually living that life, and then looking ahead from there, at that second, for that minute moment, there's a shift, you'll feel it, and at that moment the winds of intention will flutter the sails, and the big ship, which is your life, this is what I was trying to say before, the big ship, which is your life, will turn and take you on a faster, more direct path towards the realization of your slide. Unfortunately, if your slide is a negative slide, you can have the same thing happen, but it takes you in the other direction, away from positive, happy life tracks, and in the direction of negative and unhappy life tracks. So that's about as much as I can talk about at this moment without, I need a break. I think I'm going to do some yoga. And thank you for listening. Oh, I did want to just say that for me to maximize my results for reality transurfing, magic, or anything else I'm trying to do for self-improvement, I'm going to need to remember to take care of my health, because as Vadim says, if you want to be healthy, then you need to live a healthy lifestyle. So, having said that, I am going to go do something along those lines to improve my healthy lifestyle. And we'll talk soon. And maybe you can go do something for your healthy lifestyle as well, like eat some fruits or vegetables, take a walk, drink healthy water, do some meditation, do some stretches, forgive somebody, forgive yourself. Okay? Those are all good things that might take you in the direction of a healthier lifestyle. Quit smoking. There's a good one. Or cut back if you're not ready to quit yet. Okay, that's enough. Bye.